There's a monster under my bed, and at my window there's a dragon. I accepted the challenge, it turned me into a savage. I broke a promise to myself again. I don't know why I am so vulnerable. They try to help, but I won't let them in. I guess rock bottom's where I'm comfortable. Both my feet planted when most people would have panicked. I embraced the storm. I found beauty in what was damaged. I'm not afraid of the boogeyman. Instead I look at him like he's a friend. There's not a monster out there in the world that's scarier than the one that's within. There's a creature in my closet. I can hear him rumbling around. The demon screaming in the distance creates such a humbling sound. The monster that's outside my window, he's like family to me now. The things that people are afraid of never let me down.
Not to say this, no, but I'm hated so. My religious freaks say I'm the biggest beast and that I made it grow. When I spray this flow, I created more. Creatures are like when I heat up the mic, I'm a breed of the night, but I'm tainted though. By the darkness I'm binded, I sparked it and shined it. They find it cause mine is woe. For that they label me a demon seed. Wanna disable, need to see them bleed. Hinder me fatally and see them grieve, no. You would not believe the creature inside me. If you deceive, Khalifa's a lively. We disagree when people defy me or try to take his. Whatever the fuckery toward them, you don't wanna break this. You forsake his with a sacred, then it's over no matter what your faith is. I'm a creature.
There's a creature in my closet. I can hear him rumbling around. The demon screaming in the distance creates such a humbling sound. The monster that's outside my window, he's like family to me now. The things that people are afraid of never let me down.
I managed to get myself in trouble, all of this pain. Yeah, I'm down in the double dose of liquor's always to blame. If I could keep myself sober, I keep my hands to myself. I take a shot and it's over, that's how I end up in hell. I hope I don't pass it down to my offspring. They get everything from their daddy, feel like I'm addicted to all things. And there's no reason to change, gone too far now. And I'm stuck in my ways, back at the bar now. They say I'm a virgin, they right, I ain't perfect, alright. So when I'm thirsty and perking and purposely searching for something that's hurting me so I just can't back up and go, I just back out of it slow. That's how it go, I like to back out the hole. What next like I don't know. I think they be laughing at me, hands be grabbing at me. Feel like God let it happen to me, dabby blasphemy. And these be a dab it naturally. I think I better let it go. Either that or I gotta let it know that I can't do that.
There's a creature in my closet. I can hear him rumbling around. The demon screaming in the distance creates such a humbling sound. The monster that's outside my window, he's like family to me now. The things that people are afraid of never let me down.
Sure which avatar's up here. I'm assuming y'all can hear me. So I got a couple things to do. This is gonna be like 2 parts. So I'm a little bit frantic here, thinking I should have made another live and link it, which I might do when I'm playing some stuff. So Constance and I are also gonna do some of the stuff we were doing on her channel, some Ernie lore. But for the last like 5-6 days, I keep meaning to do updates. By this point, they're not even updates anymore, I don't think. I tried to find a couple new things there are, but yeah, I'm gonna do the best I can. Because I mean, these cases are pretty brutal, but I mean, I think a lot of you might have seen some of it, but I did find a new clip today. But just bear with me a second while I try to get all this stuff up, because I think these 2 cases are pretty important. And I do appreciate y'all coming, those that like to hear the crime stuff. Of course, my dog's going to start barking now. See, I have a little problem here called my dog, which, you know, I love my dog, but just please bear with me. He's a little pissed right now. Hey, Duncan, are you going to be done over there? Did you have to start right when I started live? Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. Okay, just give me a second here. Make sure nobody's in the back. But now I have to check on one thing that I didn't plan on having to do. Trying to think here. I don't want to make y'all wait for this. You know what? Maybe I'll play it because I have to do something real quick, but I don't want to make you wait. So what I did was I put together a couple clips. I put Kelly Bryant, the case that of the mother that left her kids for almost 5 years all alone to raise themselves. There's a couple updates on her. She's actually facing new charges, and she's even facing welfare charges because apparently she was collecting benefits in the amount of around $30,000, and we know, weren't going to her kids fully. So she's kind of screwed for that. So I mean, I have her court when she went to court, but I think I'm trying a different technique this time. I got it in a playlist, maybe go faster and we could do the other stuff. So this works out. The only thing is the autoplay. So I just want to try a different method and bear with this.
Now for what's tipping the scales of justice, we've got two big developments in the case of the Michigan mother accused of abandoning.
Can I get a sound check? And also, would you like me to leave on the captions? I think it's kind of cool to have the captions large like this because a lot of the news briefings, you can't hear what the hell they're saying. And I figure if I have it on really big font like this, which I recently just learned you could change the font, it's good for those that can't hear good. So I think I'm going to leave it like that. But just let me know you can hear it. What's up, everyone? Hello, Peachy. Hello, all you. Dreamer, Chaotic, Constance, Traders, Jody, Stormy, Kintsugi. Thank you for coming. Okay. And hopefully y'all can hear. I think you would tell me if you couldn't.
Her 3 children in a house of filth. That mom is now facing additional charges this morning, and her bond has been drastically lowered. Officials say that Kelly Bryant left her 3 kids alone for years inside of a dirty, feces-filled townhouse in Pontiac, Michigan. The local sheriff expressed outrage when it happened.
Do you think that the font is too large? Is it covering the screen too much? Just let me know and I can make it a little smaller. I figure it's better that, for you guys to see, but I don't want to block the screen either. So if it looks like a problem, can somebody just let me know if it's blocking too much of the screen? It looks like it might be on my phone, but...
That's going to be a very long process to figure this all out, not just how they are both mentally and physically, but how did this ever happen to have these kids fall through the cracks on so many levels with relatives, the community, and with schools?
Brian.
Okay, for anyone that does lives, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just noticed this. This is really, looks like StreamYard did another update on the phone. When I click on names to pin the comments, it gives you all these options now. Like I just tried to highlight Jody and Traders, and it literally, there's a button that puts you right on stage, like transport you. It says show on stage and like all these other options. It's really weird. And I don't know how to, there's no pin the comment, so that's odd as fuck. But anyway, here we go.
Bryant's already charged with 3 counts of first-degree child abuse, and now she's charged with welfare fraud as well, as police say she was collecting nearly $30,000 in payments between 2022 and 2025, and certainly not using those payments to help her kids. Doesn't that make you sick? Let's talk about how that may tip the scales in this case. Still with me, attorney Casey Early, and I want to welcome in attorney and the former director of Family and Children's Services in the state of Georgia, Mr. Tom Rawlings. Great to have you both here. Tom, let me begin with you on this one. Your thoughts on this case as a whole, and also on the new charges just tacked on for this woman.
Sure, Julie. I think certainly the new charges are yet another hammer against her, which is great. In general, I would agree with the sheriff. This is a situation in which these poor children fell through the cracks. They were essentially left alone to fend for themselves, maybe with some DoorDash or Instacart deliveries every week for 4 years. Can you imagine that? And yet, supposedly, Ms. Bryant, there were fathers of the children.
Is that better to have it in 2% instead of 400? Yeah, because I keep notes so you can't hear them.
who are around town. Supposedly, Ms. Bryant's
This one's in Michigan, I believe.
family was in town. There obviously would be neighbors. These children were not in school, so no one bothered to say, hey, it's Christmas. Where are my grandchildren? Hey, it's Christmas. I need to get toys to my children. Why aren't these children going to school each day?
And this is one thing I mentioned in previous lives. If they were there for 5 years with no family contact with today's technology and the boy had a phone, why wouldn't some of the family members have said, hey, can I FaceTime so-and-so for Christmas since they're not allowed to see them? Because she kept making up excuses. Okay, you could do that. Fair enough. For how long? When you get to the point of 5 years and you haven't seen your nephew, your grandson, does that make sense to you for 5 years when you can just FaceTime or ask somebody why you can't talk to them on the phone? That sounds sketchy to me. What I'm talking about, what he's talking about.
Great points. Let's talk about that. I have some fast facts for both here.
He might be the location of this house, horrors, we call it, the Michigan House of Horrors. That's where it was. I just don't remember the town, but I'll look at my notes.
So the garbage was piled as high as 4 feet. Mold, human waste found all throughout the house. The girls were in the bathroom. Boys told the deputies their mother abandoned them in the year 2020 or 2021. The mother had contact with the boy, had not seen the girls in years. None of the kids attended schools, and the girls had not been outside of the house for years, hadn't even gone outside. The boy went outside to feel the grass and...
No, they didn't pass away. So there was 4 kids in total. In the beginning, before she left, she sent one off, the oldest child, to live with his biological father, and she left the other 3 just to fend for themselves. They had severe problems when they were picked up. I talked about it when it first came out in one of the previous lives. They were in very poor condition. Like the 2 girls, for instance, their toenails were so long and overgrown that they struggled to walk outside to the ambulance. They needed assistance. Their hair was matted, and I'm sure they had to do away with it. It was in such bad condition. They didn't know how to do proper hygiene, the stuff that we teach our kids how to do. They didn't know proper grooming or anything. They struggled to even simply flush a toilet when they went to the ER, and they were given a toothbrush and toothpaste, and they really didn't know how to use it properly. They hadn't done it in 5 years, so I'm sure all their teeth is damaged, and they probably need a lot of medical care just for their teeth. I mean, they did not brush their teeth for 5 years or probably even shower properly. They didn't have any running water. They were crapping on the floor like dogs. It's really fucked up.
Check the mail. Officials reported when they gave the children toothbrush and toothpaste and took them to the restroom after they were rescued. They didn't know how to brush their teeth or flush the toilet, and their toenails were so long they had trouble walking. Casey, I remember when we spoke to you first about this case, you were moved to tears about this one and what happened to these kids. Does it make you think when you hear mom was getting money coming in and not using it to give her kids the basic necessities?
Yes, Julie, when I first heard this case, I didn't know the severity of the allegations, and it just really hurt my heart. And I went to court that day just thinking about this entire case, that almost $30,000 that should have been allocated to the children for basic necessities, not anything elaborate, and she spent it on herself. It makes me sick with the additional charges, let alone the foundation of the charges. And going back to what my colleagues stated, you had the grandparents, you had her siblings, which would have been their aunts and uncles. No one checked on these children. Not only were they neglected by mom, but they were neglected by their own family.
It makes no sense. And then after being treated at the hospital and released, they're actually with another family member. And that, all of it blows my mind. I'm sure they're very closely watched, monitored, because they're all going to be delayed in school and all kinds of other things. Even re-entry in society, I would imagine, is going to be very difficult. You're talking about kids that hadn't been out of the house. One boy and 2 girls. And out of all those years, almost 5 years, the boy went outside 2 times in 5 years. 1 time to get the mail, and 1 time because he wanted to feel what grass felt like. The other 2 girls never went outside. They were sleeping on pizza boxes on the floor. That's what I don't get, Jody, and that's why I started this general awareness series, I guess I call it. I mean, not to joke around like I say, but it really is, because had somebody seen something or said something sooner, even smelled something, you would imagine you could smell that from the streets. They might not have been there alone all that time. Maybe they would have been rescued sooner. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see how DoorDash or anything like that went to the porch and didn't smell that. Something was really wrong. In the end, what really saved them was the landlord. He hadn't received his rent since October. So I think it had been, by the time they were rescued, about, I don't know, 5 or 6 months. So he went there to do a welfare check. He wanted his money. Up until then, she was paying the rent. She was living large in another house with who knows. Yeah, I don't know. Probably, I'm assuming a man, but that's just speculation. Left them all to just do what they do and survive on by the end, they were living off a loaf of bread a week is what they were saying. I don't get it at all. I don't know. And when I watch her in court, I even have one of the court clips. I don't know if I don't want to bore anyone with that. She just sits there with making faces and stuff. I just don't know what's in her mind. Why didn't she just give them up, make a call? It makes no sense. Clearly, she couldn't be bothered with them. But what did she do before to them is what I wonder, that they were so scared to go outside. Why didn't they leave? Why didn't they ask a neighbor for help? Those houses were so close together that somebody had to smell it. I played the videos at one of my lives of the house cleaners. I replayed the videos from Facebook when they went in there to clean it. It was absolutely horrific. You wouldn't believe the mounds and piles. Like, the living room was like 5 feet high of trash because they probably didn't have anywhere to throw it. She didn't even give them shampoo or anything or dashes. She just kept the check. She was just living large, posting videos of her and pictures of herself on Facebook with her boobs sticking out, looking like a hooker. Sorry, but that's what I think.
And that is what hurts more emotional for these children. They're going to need long-term counseling in this.
It's all right, Kels. I know this is not even like I said before, I realize I'm in the drama community and not everybody likes this. Hence, obviously, there's only a little bit of people in here, but it's still important for me to do it for the people that do want to hear it and have a break from the drama, because some people said they do like that. And this is like everything that I'm showing actually is general awareness and things. All these cases that I have been bringing up, it's things that could have been prevented had somebody seen something. So it really is general awareness, you know?
Case. And what also, this case also highlights the need for a check and balance system within the school system, because had there been a way or some type of computer notification that these children are not enrolled either in homeschooling or regular school.
And now they're 5 years behind in their schooling. That's another problem. So they're going to have to probably have tutors to catch them up. And that's, they're probably going to have private tutoring. I can't remember if I mentioned this, so I'm going to again. They did state, some of the officials stated that when they rode in the ambulance to the hospital that the girls were very overstimulated. And that's what made me think, oh my goodness, they're not even going to be able to go right into school. They have to literally be re-entered into society. Just a simple trip that we do to the grocery store or whatever. They're used to being locked away in a house for 5 years. They've seen no one, spoke to no one in all those years. So think about the overstimulation that could occur. They might get scared, you know what I mean? It's just sad.
They would have been found much sooner.
And exactly, the schools, they just didn't go to school. That's what I want to know. All these cases that keep popping up with all these crazy child abuse, when you can't think it gets any worse, where the fuck were the schools when they didn't go back to school? I'm not saying it's the school's fault. Don't take that the wrong way, anyone, what I'm saying. I'm not blaming the school, but there's something not connecting here between schools, truant officers, DCF, something's just not clicking here.
Even these checks, there should have been maybe a monthly welfare check on the children, something. So many systems failed these children. I hope that the state of Michigan will implement more rules and regulations when you're receiving government assistance in order to check on those who should be assisted.
I love that point. Casey, thank you for that. Tom, I see you nodding. I know you love that point too. Your thoughts?
I bet she was getting food stamps for all of them too. Speculation, but I would bet.
Thoughts, please.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree with Cassia. So we had a situation kind of like this in Georgia one time where children were removed from the school system. They weren't going to school. They were they were found dead. It was terrible. But as she mentioned, in this situation, the school these children were at one point in school. That school received a request to transfer the children's records to another school, but it appears the children actually never went to school after withdrawing from the first school. So we in Georgia actually passed a law to try to improve that process so that if a child drops out of one school, that we are following to see whether or not the child is actually enrolled in homeschool or in another school. It's really good.
And this is exactly what just happened. The other case that's going to be after this, the boy that has been locked up since he didn't go to school after 4th grade, and she's had him captive. The stepmom had him captive for 20 years. The same thing. He left the school, and all she said was he's transferring to another school. Then she said he's homeschooling. And the principal did try to make several calls. They actually found the records, the police records and everything. So what he said was true on that interview, the principal that did everything he could. But here we go. Another case of mom just says they're transferring. That's the end. They're not going to your school anymore. And they fall through the cracks.
Good point she makes.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, that's awesome. Did that in Georgia. I hope other states follow suit. Gosh, this is horrible. I could talk to you both all day. Great conversation on such a tough story. Goodbye and thank you to you both for your analysis and your expertise. Casey Early, Tom Rawlings, we'll look forward to having you both back here very soon.
Pontiac mother charged with child abuse and abandoning her children was back in court today after being charged.
So again, I made a playlist. They're going to start autoplaying. It's something new I'm trying, so I'm not really sure. I think this is the last one on this. This might just talk about the same kind of stuff, but I'll just get through this one quickly. This one's a lot shorter than the other one.
Charged with 3 counts of first-degree child abuse. Prosecutors have
That's
now
the mom
also
right there.
charged Kelly Bryant with 4 counts of
That's the
welfare
mom.
fraud.
Her name is Kelly Bryant, but it's Kelly with an I.
Today, a judge issued a personal bond of more than $29,000 on the welfare fraud charges. Now, the amount issued is the exact amount that she's accused of defrauding the Welfare Benefits Office. Meanwhile, the mother is still being held on first-degree child abuse charges. And joining us now to discuss the latest developments is defense attorney Lane Sacqua. Thanks so much for joining us, Lane.
Thank you. Good evening.
So there appears to be a mountain of evidence in this case. What challenges do her defense attorneys have in defending her?
Well, in this case, I believe they said there were over 600 pages of discovery, including videos. So that's a lot of discovery. So to go
Damn, over 600 pages of discovery.
through all the pictures and to hear the depictions of going into the house, we've heard about the destruction all over the home, the grave conditions that they were living in. So, the old saying, a picture paints 1,000 words. That
Hey,
would
half
be
pint.
the greatest obstacle that the defense attorney has in this case.
Yeah, and when it comes to defending a client, sometimes there are cases where you go into it thinking, how do you even possibly try to defend them? And in a case like this, what could they lean on?
Hi, D-Boss.
I think that every case has elements, correct? We have jury instructions that we go by. And if you look at the jury instructions, in this one, there isn't necessarily physical harm, but is it the mental harm? And how do we lean in on the mental harm? Was there mental harm based on where they were? Mood changes, ordinary.
The reason the children here in this case were finally discovered, Jody, was when the landlord wasn't getting his rent for several months, finally, after all this time. So he went to the apartment thinking he's doing a welfare check on the mom, and he discovered the children there in the mess. The police were called, and then the police went in to rescue them, and they were found hiding. They were terrified of the police. They were taught to always hide when anyone knocked at the door or anything like that, so they feared the police at first.
Course of living for the children. And I think that's where the elements are going to lie in the trial. And you have to kind of look at what were the children's behaviors, what have the children said, and hone in on that to see if there's an issue with those elements. So you've got to look at the elements and address it from there.
And in terms of defending Kelly Bryant, do you think her attorneys will lean in on her mental health, maybe what led up to this? But
Hey, Grinch, I don't personally see any other defense than they're going to try the mental illness shit. What other defense do you have that you can justify that you left 3 very young minors to fend for themselves for nearly 5 years and you didn't even see them? Didn't even see them or contact or make eye contact. The girls never saw her in all that time.
then on the flip side, can that be argued?
When we transfer schools, I can't pin comments anymore. It only lets me star it. Isn't that weird? There's a button that says, it's all weird now. Peachy says, when we transferred schools last year, we had 10 days from leaving one school and being entered in another. Some states have transfer laws. And wonder what Michigan's are like. Well, I think with all these cases coming up, they're going to be looking into a lot of this. There's a lot of discussions that I found, even on YouTube, different clips of it, the different laws and everything that they're going to need to start looking in, doing better checks so people like this don't fall through the cracks.
Since she's accused of defrauding the system at the same time.
It is definitely a catch-22 on that. You have both cases, but I think that in the state of Michigan, you have to look at mental health no matter what. You have the ability to get a competency hearing. We don't know whether or not her attorney will request that. It doesn't look like they have done that this far as we've adjourned the probable cause conference, but it's definitely something to look at.
Yeah, and this is one of those cases, too, where it's made national headlines. A lot of people were really disgusted by what we saw, understandably so. How much do you think public opinion could play into the decisions that are made?
Having practiced over 20 years in that court and having a lot of unfortunate public cases in the past couple of years in that court and what we've seen in national news, I don't really see either the prosecutor nor the defense attorney nor the judges for that matter, whether it be at the district court level or at the circuit court level, really letting publicity play a part in their decisions. If it goes to trial, obviously we have to ask fellow jurors, it could be you or me, what we feel, what we've seen, if we're predisposed by that. But I think you have the ability to get an impartial jury on that if you go to trial. And I think the prosecutor and the defense attorney and the judge, for that matter, will be impartial as well.
And Bryant was initially given $250 million bond, which has been drastically reduced to just tens of thousands. Why that decision?
Well, in Michigan, a few years ago, we did the Justice Reform Act, where we looked at bond and what was fair and what was reasonable, and there were certain factors that were set forward. And upon reviewing the factors that the Justice Reform Act had, there was the ability to reduce that from $250 million to $50,000. She has no criminal history. There's conditions set in place that she can't speak to the children or anyone involved in the case, put her on a tether. We shouldn't ruin someone's life over bond was kind of the Justice Reform Act. If they're going to come to court.
Yeah, and speaking of no contact orders, we know that she did allegedly violate that, trying to reach out and having other people doing so too. With that also coming to play in terms of everything that's already happening with this case, is it looking kind of bad for this client possibly?
I don't necessarily know if we can say it's looking bad. I mean, again, the pictures are horrific. We know that. But I think, as everyone may or may not know, the jail calls are recorded. So whether or not they have evidentiary value, we will know what was actually said. Who did she call? Did she specifically call the children? Did she not? The judge only suspended her jail privilege for 1 week, which makes me believe that it was that egregious or her jail privileges would be completely yanked. But I think maybe we will see those as the case progresses in the future.
Well, Defense Attorney Lane Sacwa, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
Tonight, we're getting a first look inside the Waterbury.
So just to back up for a second, she was ordered. Oops, I can hear the echo. She was ordered by the judge with a no contact, so she can't mess up the case and try to intimidate the children or tell them what to say. And she already violated it in jail by making phone calls, trying to get a hold of them. You know what I mean? She already got in trouble for that, and she hadn't even been in jail that long. That's not good. Okay, moving right along to this, because we're going to switch to something else afterwards. This is about the man that was found that it was held captive by his stepmom. I have a series of clips about that, but I can't remember until I start playing it how it starts. So I'm just going to start playing that. But yeah, they need to implement better laws for the school, because this is kind of like the same thing. There was no follow-up when the mom took stepmom. She's not really a mother, actually, allegedly. Took her child out of school because what happened was DCF started bugging her, as they said. I think it's in some of the prior report. She called the police and said DCF was, I forget how she worded it, but basically that they were bothering her. So she called the police on them. But there was no follow-up. And again, this kid fell through the cracks and grew into a man, still being trapped and starved all that time. Allegedly. We'll see how that goes.
Waterbury home where a man was held captive for 2 decades. The 32-year-old set fire to the house last month to escape. He weighed just 68 pounds at the time of his rescue. Police arrested his stepmother, Kimberly Sullivan, who has pled not guilty to the charges, including assault and kidnapping. NBC Connecticut's Jeremy Chen joining us live in Waterbury with a closer look at those photos tonight. Jeremy.
Yeah, Keisha, this is a case that has captured the attention of the nation, and now we're getting an inside look into the conditions police say the stepson lived in inside this home about the past 2 decades. Now, this all came about due to a Freedom of Information Act request. Neighbors, first responders, as well as experts left shocked. These photos released by Waterbury police paint a picture of the conditions inside this home on Blake Street. Investigators say it's where Kimberly Sullivan held her 32-year-old stepson in captivity. Here you can see the staircase that leads to the second floor where police say the man was being held. There's also a picture of a lock. The victim told police he was locked in a room from the outside.
Very sad and sickening, just disturbing.
There's also photos of a bedroom and bathroom all cluttered with items. And then the kitchen, where first responders say they found the victim.
And the victim crawled up in a little ball underneath the table. And then I went up to him, scooped him up, and then just took him right out the front door.
I saw the mother and at the time what I thought was a child in the kitchen. He was in the fetal position in the kitchen.
Former Fairfield Police Chief Gary McNamara says these pictures will support what the victim has told investigators about life inside the home.
A lot of these crimes are hidden from view and they're hidden from the public. This gives us a pretty clear picture of what life was like inside that house.
We're also getting a look at photos from what appears to be the Waterbury Police Evidence Room. You can see a door wrapped in police tape propped up next to shelving with what looks to be evidence bags.
Yeah, so when the police took the evidence, they actually took the whole door frame apart and took it as evidence because when he was a child, he said that the man said when he was a child that he had escaped, and they went and took some 2x4s and reinforced it and put some more locks on there so he couldn't get out. And that also supports his story because that's clearly probably why they took that for evidence. And in one of the pictures before they took that apart, you could see the 2x4s that they added, just like he said, to keep him in the room. And I'm sure, with how small he was and his weight being so low, he probably didn't have the strength, to break a door or whatever.
We also have photos of an apparent door frame that had a lock on it. Neighbors say this only adds to the horror they've felt since the arrest earlier this month.
I don't understand how anyone could live like that.
Now, we did reach out to Sullivan's attorney about the photos. His response, quote, "No comment." Sullivan will return to court on April 22nd.
I don't care for that
Live in
lawyer.
Waterbury, Jeremy Chen, NBC Connecticut News. Keisha,
next.
You're following breaking news out of the alleged House of Horrors in Waterbury. A woman accused of
So this clip might be similar to that one. I know that I have the lawyer speech I recorded, a clip of that, and then I think I have a neighbor and a friend. Oh, a previous friend of the stepmother when they were younger, and a classmate, a former classmate. I know everybody else has probably already seen the mom, the biological mom and the biological half-sister talk everywhere.
stepson captive for decades.
News's Catherine Hauser just received new photos of that scene. And Catherine, this is our first look inside, right?
It is. This is a story we've been digging into. We are also hearing from the suspect, Kimberly Sullivan, in her own words.
However, he might, the thing is though, Fluzzy B, I am too, but that woman posted her bond like the next day. So he told police he was scared, and I don't blame him. You know, he said to the police officer, I was locked up in my room for 20 years. What is she doing free? And can you blame him for I mean, I'd be terrified too. She at one point did threaten him when he was a kid. You know, if you try to escape, I'll end you or something to those. I don't remember the exact words, but it's out there somewhere. So he's probably in terror. And then they had they went to court over that and spoke about her bond and everything. The state wanted her to get a tether and to be on house arrest. So the judge went halfway in between. He gave her a tether so that her location could be monitored, but he didn't put her on house arrest. So at least they can track where she is.
on the night of that fire.
I know,
that
the next
started
day.
inside that Blake Street home that the victim
Oh,
was
you want?
found
Oh,
in.
okay.
So take a look. These are the first images, as Darren mentioned.
Are the captions annoying y'all, or because I can make them small too? The reason I have it, I thought I made it smaller. It looks like it got large again. I wonder if you have to do it for each one. I'll shut it off if that's the case. I only do that because when you do those news conferences, you can't hear the questions from the reporters. Let me see if that's better.
Mentioned. You can.
Is that annoying with the words that small, or do you want me to take it all the way off? I'll take it all the way off if it's annoying. If nobody needs the captions, I'll be happy to take it off. I'm just waiting for a few more opinions. And Peachy, if you're listening, I think from what I heard, TikTok's like on the verge of the extension's almost up. So I was thinking of your TikTok things. I don't know how that's going to go, if they're going to let anyone buy it. I heard they refused to sell, but I heard there was 3 people interested. I heard the other night on one of those locale shows, they said that Amazon is interested in purchasing, and believe it or not, OnlyFans. I was shocked about that. OnlyFans wants to purchase TikTok, and there was one other one I can't remember. All right, I'll just shut them off. I don't want to bug anyone. I hate when shit's blocking my view. All right, shut this shit off. Oh, off. There we go.
See, much of the inside of that home was damaged by fire. Now, it's unclear exactly what room the alleged victim was kept in, but you can see doors with locks on them. These are photos taken by police. Now, police said that the locks stuck out to them, and they also questioned Kimberly Sullivan about the night of that fire.
When I look at the staircase and all this stuff, I don't know if that's damage, all that dark stuff. I don't know if that's from smoke or if it's dirt or a combination. It's kind of baffling me when I keep looking at them. Let me try to get
You smelled it, so then what happened then?
That I guess he was sleeping. He passed out.
Okay. But what did you do though specifically?
I was screaming for him. I was screaming it, for him, and I was trying to go into the room, but there were just flames. So he came out of the room. He actually woke up. He came out of the room.
Police say the victim, now 32 years old, had been starved and weighed just 68 pounds when he was found. Kimberly Sullivan has been ordered to wear GPS monitoring and has pleaded not guilty. She will be back in court next month, and we will follow that story for you.
I'm happy for that, at least, that she got the tether. I was kind of hoping she got house arrest.
No.
I mean, I don't blame the kid. He was locked up since he was a kid.
Okay, is it normally locked?
No.
Tonight, 2 sides of the Waterbury captivity case are coming to light. A man says he was locked up in the home for 20 years by his stepmother, but she claims that is not the case. Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us here for the news at 11. I'm Keisha Grant. It has now been 43 days since that February night when a man set fire to his home to escape what he calls his prison. Since then, we have seen videos of his rescue, found only weighing 68 pounds, and pictures of the conditions inside the home. Tonight, the attorneys for
I'm going to try to pause it on the stairs. All right, there, I got it. Pause game. Like, this looks like smoke damage, the gray stuff on the wall, but I don't know if some of these chunks and stuff, could that be from the fire? Would that leave a mess like that? Actually, I don't know. The stuff they spray, maybe it made a mess on the rug. The flames retardant, I don't know.
There are pushing back, upset that this evidence.
But this doesn't explain this. That looks like stuff from the ceiling, like insulation and shit. I don't know. I'm kind of confused by it myself.
Has even been
fire,
released.
You think?
NBC Connecticut.
I think it might be a combination.
Melissa Cooney joins us now in the studio with insight from a legal expert on how this case could play out. Melissa.
That's right, Keisha. Her attorneys worry that the footage, photos, and files that we've obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request could compromise their case.
This case, good luck finding a jury. They're already talking about trying to go to a different location, but this is national now. There is a GoFundMe that somebody in the town started from one of those charitable organizations, and there's people donating international, in other countries. So I don't know, man. I just say good luck with that because I don't know, man. I don't know how you can deny this.
Get her over and thrown everything.
Yeah, the water, the retardant.
I just don't want her going anywhere. We don't have enough to really detain her.
New body camera footage brings us back to February when police say a man set his own Blake Street home on fire to allegedly escape 20 years of captivity from his.
I would like to see the full clip with no interruptions, but it's like I have to piece together these clips to get little bits and pieces and new ones that show up.
Mother, Kimberly Sullivan. You're about to hear from her answering questions from police that night.
Was the door locked on his room or no?
No.
Okay, is it normally locked?
No.
Okay, it's normally open?
Yeah.
And he has free
Liar.
reign to go out of there whenever he wants?
Yeah.
Okay.
According to incident reports, this wasn't the first time police were at the home. Officers had 2 interactions with the Sullivans in 2005 relating to their stepson. The first when school children called DCF expressing concern that he wasn't in class. The report said he was being homeschooled, and an officer says he appeared healthy and happy. Then later that month, the late father reported harassment against the former principal, who previously told NBC Connecticut he made multiple reports out of concern for the boy. These photos, also released, paint a picture inside the Sullivan home showing what appears to be locks in the home.
It was shocking, to say the least. I can't explain why it would be done. The only thing that we could think of is that it's clearly being done to sway public opinion.
Sullivan's defense attorney says the actions of Waterbury police releasing the files was reckless, saying it could
So the lawyer's like pretty pissy that the cops released the photos. Oh well.
compromise Sullivan's right to a fair trial.
We are in the middle of a very high-profile case with a lot of attention and a lot of minds made up all over the world. It's not just here.
The attorney, the defense attorney, even though it may be very hard for people to accept, he's doing his job.
Legal analyst and defense attorney Jim Bergen says this situation is not uncommon for high-profile cases and believes the evidence-based court system should do its job fine. But due to heightened public interest, he does expect the eventual jury selection process to take longer than usual.
The system will restrict it to evidence, will require picking jurors who are qualified to be able to look fresh.
The one clip I have of the lawyer talking when he did it like a little mini press conference it's so infuriating. He basically, I know lawyers have to do this, but the way he did it, he's basically calling the kid a liar. The way it's infuriating. That's probably in one of the next ones.
And we have reached out to the Waterbury Police Department in response to today's press conference. But
I gotta run and
haven't
get a
heard
refill. I'm
back. In the studio
seeing if
tonight,
it's at
Melissa
that part.
Cooney, NBC Connecticut News. Keisha, back to you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay, so this is the lawyer part, and be ready. It's very annoying.
How's everyone
I'll be
doing
right
today?
back.
All right. So thank you for coming out.
Actually, before I play it, to answer your question, Kels, the biological mom has spoken all over the place. I just assumed everyone's seen that by now because I've been trying to do this for like 6 days and one of them I did a Ernie one instead, and it's out there everywhere. I thought, did I play one of those clips last time? I mean, sure, I could play it at some other point, but she's all over YouTube, the biological mom. She basically gave him to the father when he was just an infant and thought he could do better. I'm assuming the way she's talking that she had some sort of struggles, and it sounded like it could have been, I'm speculating, but the way she talked, drug struggles. And she went on to have another child, so he has a half-sister. But it looks like she had struggles in life, just the way she speaks, the way she looks. I'm not trying to be judgmental, but that's where I think happened.
We are holding this press conference today to respond to the release of information that occurred yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, as we were sitting here with our client reviewing a lot of the same information that was released, we were notified that there was a dump of information by the Waterbury Police Department. Needless to say, we were shocked at this. In 22 years of doing criminal defense, this is the first time I've had literally the discovery in the case that we often struggle to get, and we often wait months to get, to be released to the general public. It was shocking, to say the least. I can't explain why it would be done. The only thing that we could think of is that it's clearly being done to sway public opinion. As there weren't enough people rooting against my client already, as if there weren't enough people that had already made up their minds and convicted her. We believe this grossly reckless act by the police department or intentional and reckless disregard for my client's constitutional rights was just completely inappropriate. Completely inappropriate, and I can only imagine designed to, one, bury positive information that came out yesterday, and two, further erode my client's chance at a trial. And what I'm referring to, yesterday there was some information that was released regarding the 2005 investigation. And interestingly, it was carried by one media outlet to my knowledge. One media outlet reported that in 2005, the police went to the home. They spoke to the individual. They reported that he appeared healthy and happy, and that the residence appeared normal and lived in. Almost every other media source, we counted at least 13, ran articles about pictures depicting the inside of the house and body cam video that was released. We can only think that this additional information, the photos and videos, were released to bury the truthful, positive information that came out yesterday. Clearly, the police don't want it out there. When they went to the home, the individual appeared happy and healthy, that the home appeared normal and lived in. What was done yesterday was shocking and completely inappropriate. I'll take your questions.
So it was done through FOI. Catherine Hauser from our station asked the police, and she was very specific about photos. Why would that be a violation if it's a Freedom of Information?
So there are exceptions to Freedom of Information Act. There are exceptions for cases involving domestic violence. There's exceptions for cases where the case is still pending in court. In 22 years, I've always been denied when I've wanted information about a pending case. It's very convenient.
Let me pause this. So the dad died in 2024. I feel like I looked up, if you put his name in there, I'd have to look at my notes. I did look it up. I seen the funeral because another news clip talked about it, and his name's out there. Like, some are out there. Some of them are in the report. I actually have that too. I have the report. This go ahead and try to use that. I heard that excuse too at first, that it's the father. So that's going to be one of her own weak defenses that she has, because she's not going to have much. Exactly what you just said, Jody, which I wanted to comment on. If that's the case, why didn't you free him when he died? Because he's been long gone for a while. I also heard the brother of the man that passed away. He spoke in another article, which I don't think I have pulled up. And he said that his brother, the man who passed away, was very mild-mannered and very obedient, and let her, the stepmom, run him. So everything that was done, she kind of let her rule the house. So it was the opposite, even to the point where they became separated, broken up. They hadn't talked to each other for years, and he said it was all at her because she basically bossed the whole house around. So we have other people that say different. We have the uncle to the boy that was held captive, and then him, the victim himself, that's going to say different. I mean, she could try all she wants, but there's going to be people that testify differently. So that's not going to work.
That it is released in this situation. And not just that, it's reckless. It is completely reckless. We are in the middle of a very high-profile case with a lot of attention and a lot of minds made up all over the world. It's not just here, but all over the world, people have convicted her. Okay? We were just in court talking about how we need to protect her right to a fair trial. And then to turn around and have this happen days later for no reason other than, I think, to feed the public hysteria.
Will you try to move this trial?
Public hysteria? We're pissed off. We're angry. We're sad. I wouldn't call it, you can call it hysteria all you want. People want fucking justice. You can say what you want, but you're not going to be able to answer a lot of questions like, where's the schooling? Where's the record of school? How come he hasn't had school since the 4th grade, bro? Where's all his well visits? Where's all his doctor reports? How come he hasn't gone to a dentist? You're going to have to prove that he went to got any treatment. He didn't. He said in the report that he had anytime he got sick, the only thing that he got was aspirin from this woman. So good luck proving that, bro. He said the victim said sometimes when he chews a sandwich, his teeth break apart in his mouth. His whole mouth is rotted out. He's not gotten any health care in more decades, plural. So good luck with that defense is what I'm going to say, because they're going to prove all that stuff is proven that he didn't get any of it. So what defense can you say for that? That he was kept in the house and didn't go get anything? No school, no doctor, no dentist. That's looking pretty bad to me.
Out of Waterbury to ensure.
Yeah, this guy actually infuriates me, this whole thing. So if at any point you want me to skip to the next one, I'm happy to do that. The guy pisses me off.
It's a fair trial.
We may have to do that at the appropriate time. We may file a motion for change of venue. This is being covered everywhere. What we're really going to need is some jurors that can keep an open mind.
Good luck with that, bro.
What we have is millions of people behind their keyboards, behind their monitors, having convicted her without knowing anything about this
We've seen enough. It's not we don't know anything. We've actually seen enough.
case. I've seen the evidence
For no
in the
reason.
case,
All right, bro.
and I'm not moved. I am confident in our case.
Confident. He's confident.
Jurors that don't know much about this case or haven't created their own opinion about the case yet?
We're going to spend a whole hell of a lot of time trying. Okay, and I hope there are still people out there that will keep an open mind.
How can we?
Because a lot of people haven't. A lot of people think
He's close to death when he was found. He should be dead. Like I said in one of the previous ones, if you're below 13% body mass, that can be fatal. He was like at 11%. His skin tone was already gray, they said. He was 68 pounds. He's like 31 years old. What defense do you have? He probably had wasting syndrome too. I think it's called wasting syndrome. There's an actual definition for it. It starts with a C, but I'm going to have to try to remember that.
just because of the allegations, she shouldn't have rights. She shouldn't even have a defense. The fact that we're standing here defending this woman offends a lot of people.
Yeah.
Well, that's just too bad.
Oh.
So
did you hear that, guys? It's just too bad.
Intend on giving her a defense, and we intend on questioning every juror we can until we find those impartial jurors.
Well,
and
good
if
luck.
we can't find them in this jurisdiction, then we will move to another one.
Good luck with that.
So are you saying that police should have not complied with that FOIA that we all put in there?
I don't believe the police should have released that information. They initially denied, and then there's a process.
This whole thing pisses me off. So at any point you all vote to go to the next one, I have no problem because it's infuriating.
I've never gotten
Hi,
anything
Governor
from
Pink
the
Warrior.
police in a contested situation that quickly.
Yeah, it is despicable.
And all of you are reporters. You have experience with FOIA. You have experience with police departments. How many cases do you receive all the discovery from a pending case?
It's gained national attention. It's not something that happens every day. It's absolutely shocking. I'm sure some of the first responders are traumatized. That's why.
Well, maybe not all of it.
People
Everything
are
is nothing,
shocked.
But in certain cases, we'll get body camera footage, and we'll get, plenty of video pictures, particular evidence when it involves certain cases. Why do you think this is different?
Well, I think this is different because we have a case that is pending in court. There was a denial of the request initially. It is something that the police department could have continued to deny and allowed it to go through the FOIA process, allow it to go to a hearing. No decision or ruling was made. The police department voluntarily turned it over. They were not under an obligation to turn it over at this
Oh, well. Oh, fucking well.
time. They could have continued to deny the request. They chose to release it.
What are you
The
going to
timing
do?
is suspect.
When did you get the photos?
I got the photos only days earlier.
What did you think?
Within a week. So, and here's something that everyone should know about
Exactly.
this. When I get these photos, I can't share them with anyone. I can't even give a copy of these photos to my own client because we would get in trouble because the rules prohibit it.
That's so she can just look on YouTube everywhere.
But for some reason, the Waterbury Police Department felt it appropriate to disclose all that information now.
Well, like I said, not every somebody's locked in a room for over 2 decades, rotting away and dying from starvation. So yeah, it's gained national attention, and I'm glad they put it out.
What did you think of the photos when you saw the photos?
They were photos.
He's going to be the most hated lawyer in the world soon.
They don't prove anything.
Oh, they don't? What about his condition?
In fact, look closely at those photos.
We did.
What do you see? What do you not see?
A house of
Those
horrors.
locks. There's exterior locks on multiple doors. Some are a latch. A lot just had a simple keychain.
Oh, a simple keychain. How do you think he feels about being locked in the room with a simple keychain, as you put it?
Ask yourself, is that the restraint that's going to keep someone captive 20 years?
Actually, like the boy said, when he was a boy, he did break out, and then they reinforced it by 2x4s, hence the reason the cops removed the door frame and took it as evidence. Matches his story, and it will be used in court. You fucker. Sorry.
Where are the handcuffs? Where are the chains? Where are the signs of restraint?
How do you think that victim feels if he watches this news clip after being trapped for nearly 2 decades with no outside anyone to the outside world? Where's the handcuffs? Where's the restraints? So you're saying that there aren't other means to keep people like fear? What about the case I just talked about in Michigan where the children were in the house? Where's their locks? Where's their restraints? It's called fear. What did the mom do to those children that kept them in the house? They didn't go outside for 5 fucking years. There's other forms of abuse and fear and PTSD that might keep people too. You cannot. This is so annoying.
Those pictures raise a lot of questions if you look at them objectively.
Huh.
If you haven't rushed to judgment, if you don't look at this through the lens of everything that has been said about my client is true, and you step back for a second, you're going to see that a lot of things don't add up. So
Oh, really?
The pictures, I think, are put out there to make her look
A lot of things don't add up. So again, if the victim's watching, how do you think that makes him
bad
feel?
because the house appears messy. Oh, there's an exterior lock here. Let's all jump to conclusions. There's a
How could we not? He's 68 pounds and his teeth are falling out of his head.
long way to go from these allegations to anything proven at trial.
John, the picture
Hey, Miss
might not raise
Meyer.
a ton of questions, but I think a lot of people what's come out in the press is the 68.7 pounds. That certainly has raised a lot of questions. I know you haven't wanted to explain any of that, but do you understand why that would raise a ton of questions?
Of course.
Some of the specifics in the warrant about not
He just shrugged. He shrugged his shoulders.
bathing for a while, not getting a haircut for years, the food, the alleged drinking out of the toilet. Do you understand that would raise a lot of questions?
Yeah, and it's troubling behavior. And I don't know why he was drinking out of a toilet. But that was reported in grade school by the principal before.
Right. Exactly. And nothing was done, and it continued for more than 2 decades.
Any alleged abuse ever began. So let's put that in context.
Wow.
Okay? The principal reported that years, I think the claim was
That's the whole idea, bro. It was reported years ago and nobody followed up.
he was drinking out of a urinal. Long before any
If I was a teacher at school or worked at a school and I saw a student eating out of the trash and drinking out of the urinal because everything was kept from him, that's taking people's lunches, stealing food, eating in the bathroom. I certainly, when I was in school, I never saw anyone eating out of the trash or stealing food like that. That's clearly something wrong. Clearly.
alleged abuse, but no one's questioning that. No one's looking at this objectively. And as far as his weight, I haven't seen any medical records yet. And explanations for his weight.
Like wasting syndrome due to starvation and malnutrition for more than 2 decades?
Ask a doctor. That's not for me to explain. There could be a lot of reasons. And we may raise some
A lot
more
of
those
reasons?
questions, but now's not the time for me to guess as to why he was 68 pounds. What I can tell you was there was food in the fridge, there was food in the cabinets, she brought food home.
But was he allowed to eat it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. How do you know that? Were you in that house? Did you live there for 20-something years? You can't say that. That's what blows my mind when they say yes, absolutely.
And you all wanted to hear from her. Thanks to the Waterbury PD, you now have heard from her in that body cam. She was asked, were there locks on the doors? Was the door locked? No. Is the door usually locked? No. Does he have free reign through the house? Yes. Those
Do you think she's going to sit there and say, I locked my stepson in the room? Who would do that?
questions have been asked and they've been answered.
So where do these allegations are coming from? I mean, these are very specific allegations in the warrant, tons of them.
Yep.
So where do you think
Exactly.
those
It makes it
specifics are
worse.
coming
It sure
from?
do.
I have some thoughts.
What are they?
Those will all come out at trial because that's the appropriate place for it. Trial, cross-examination. It's real easy for someone to tell a story and everyone just to accept it as true. But when
Because it's so extreme and abnormal and we're not used to something to this extreme level.
tough questions are asked, and that's what cross-examination is for, stories fall apart.
So what do you do from here?
At cross-examination, stories fall apart. Again, how do you think the victim feels? You shouldn't even have done this. This makes him look horrible. So you're basically accusing this man of lying.
Hopefully,
Stories.
we stop getting surprises from the police department.
This is a man that has no education since 4th grade, no trips to the doctor, no trips to the dentist. He's going to be, mentally so behind since he's only done some grade school, you know what I mean? He's going to need some serious work. Almost dead. He's still in danger. He's not out of the danger zone because when you start introducing food, that's why he's in a special facility. Sometimes that can cause problem too. So they have to be very careful of how much calorie intake he takes a day. You know what I mean? That can be dangerous. And like I said, he might have that wasting syndrome at this point. His muscles have already deteriorated and his body started eating into that. And he's got orthopedic problems from it. There's so much. It goes on and on. There's no chance that she's going to get away with this.
And we can focus on the job we need to do, and we could focus on preparing this case and fighting it in court. That's where
I think he could have done this without the snarky comments, though, and basically calling him a liar. The way he did it, it's going to give him a bad look. It's going to make people hate him more, because I felt real mad after seeing this.
we're going to have this fight. We're going to have it in court. We're going to prepare every day for that fight in court, and we're going to be ready when that fight comes. I don't want to be going back and forth to court, arguing conditions of release. I don't want to be dealing with news dumps or dumps of files and having to respond to this allegation or that allegation. I'd like to focus on the discovery, prepare a defense, and do the job we were retained to do.
I want to
We are
watch the trial.
confident in our case. We're confident in the arguments we're going to make at trial. We hope that we could get our client a fair trial, and we hope that people stop engaging in reckless behavior that puts her right to a fair trial in jeopardy.
Have you heard from the Waterbury Police Department or the Attorney's Office about why these documents were released and how they were released?
I have not heard from the Waterbury Police Department. I have spoken to people at the state's attorney's office. I'll let them speak for themselves, but it is my understanding that this wasn't something that they released. But that's something you discuss with them, obviously.
Can you talk about your motion that you filed today and what you're hoping to achieve with the preservation of documents?
Absolutely. So we've asked, both by way of a letter and by way of a written motion in court, that all communications all documents, all emails, all memorandum, all information relating to the release of this information be preserved.
Wow, Jody, that's crazy.
We question the timing of it, we question the motivation of it, and we question why it was done at all. And all those issues may be relevant. Depending on who testifies at trial, their motivation, if they were involved in the release of this information, their motivation may be relevant. Their biases against my client may be relevant. So we.
Are you talking about the 5 kids that were from the racist couple that I did? I was worried about them being separated and everything like that. Are you saying that one adopted all of them? Or they all got adopted separately? I was just hoping they got to be in contact with each other because that's all they had. Yeah, let me know about that one.
We've asked that all this information be preserved. It may be important later to arguments we raise both with respect to venue and to the cross-examination of potential police witnesses.
Was there a gap of time in which your client left the scene? I think there was about an hour in which Ms. Sullivan left the scene and came back. Is there an explanation for that?
I'm unaware of any issue like that.
Going back to the body camera video, your client says there are no locks on the doors, right? But the pictures show locks.
No, the question was the door locked? And the answer was no.
And she also was asked, did he have free reign of the home?
Correct.
And he says no. She says he did. Can you kind of explain that?
Yeah, she answered it. He had free reign of the home. I don't know why he's saying he did not.
How would you know? Did you live there?
Can you explain the locks that are shown on the photos?
Those were locks that predated her even being in that home.
Ha!
So those locks were on those doors before she ever moved in.
What about the lock that fell off? And what about the 2x4s that were added to reinforce so that he couldn't get out? And more locks were added as he aged. Explain that.
And some of those doors, some of those locks remain. And once you walk in the house, the first door to the right has a little chain lock. But then it also has an opening where you could walk out the other side of it.
He actually, I mean, there might be other evidence they collected from the room too, because this man reported that he peed in a bottle because he was too afraid. Like, he couldn't just go free reign to the bathroom when he wanted. So he made this whole contraption himself with a bottle. He would urinate in a bottle and then he connected it to a straw. Like, he invented this whole contraption and made the straw go out a hole in the window because he was so afraid to open the window. His level of fear was that great that he was afraid he would break the screen and something would happen to him from the stepmom. I mean, that's not normal. So he would slowly let the pee go out the window like that. I'm sure that they collected that in the room. You're not going to be able to explain that.
So those were there. They mean nothing.
Oh.
What about the claim about
those were there? They mean nothing.
His teeth being rotten, and when he would eat, that some of his teeth would even break. Any truth to that?
What I can tell you is the first video I saw of him, he was eating a Butterfinger.
Can you believe he said that? Did you hear what the reporter asked? Because I know it's kind of quiet. They asked, how did you explain that when he was reportedly eating, pieces of his teeth were breaking off? What I can tell you is I seen him eating a Butterfinger. Well, Butterfingers you can eat with no teeth. They break right apart and melt on your tongue. That means nothing. Why would you say something like that?
I don't know about his teeth, but
well, you will soon.
Not be.
Was the video taken
days after?
I think his attempts at damage control just made everything worse. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
At the hospital?
I am not. I would prefer not to comment specifically on too much of the discovery. Who knows? Maybe the police have released that video too.
That's what you should have said to many of your snarky comments. You should have said, I prefer not to comment.
I
That's a
don't
suggestion.
have a full grasp on everything the police released.
Exactly.
It's my
It
understanding
means nothing.
that they've released even more videos than just the one video and the 42 photographs. I haven't been able to confirm it independently, but I believe at least one news source has more body cam videos as well.
Everybody good?
Okay, thank you.
I don't think he had any strength left to to try to get out of anything, even if he could miss Mayor, like you're saying, because of the weight, you know?
You guys. Thank you.
His muscle was being eaten.
Our top story
By his
tonight,
body.
the best friend of a man allegedly.
Now, I think there's only a couple more clips. I think this is a clip of one of the man's best friends when he was in school back in the day.
Held captive for decades is speaking
Oh,
out to
boy.
News 8
Okay,
about
chaotic.
their time in school together.
Police believe the 32-year-old victim was abused by his stepmother since he was 3 years old. News 8's Jane Chaco live outside their home in Waterbury with more. Jane.
Matthew Stanko says he quickly became best friends with the victim. They went to baseball games together, paired up during class activities. He says he searched years for him, never knowing what happened to his friend until now.
Searched MySpace, I searched social media, I searched anywhere I can to see if maybe there's some type of, digital footprint of him.
Matthew Stanko says his family moved around a lot when he was young and it was hard to make friends. He says he instantly connected with another boy in second grade.
Me and him would sit in class, and what we would do is we would break crayons in half and we would throw them at each other. And the teacher got so really upset about it that she ended up having to separate us.
Stanko showed us pictures.
That's the smile I remember, that side smile.
Explaining how they were inseparable at the former Barner Elementary School. Even when Stanko went to a different school the next year, the two talked.
One thing I do hope, I was told that the victim is looking at some things on social media now. I'm sure they hooked him up with stuff he might not even have known the technology, you know what I mean? I was thinking also where he's been trapped, he might not understand how things work, like the phones these days, but I'm sure somebody's helping him. Anyways, so he's keeping an eye on some of the stuff coming out on the news, basically is what I'm saying, in social media. I just hope he sees some of these, like the good ones like this, and remembers his friend. Oh, that scared me. I hope he gets to see the clips like this and that people remember him and cared about him, and the good stories, like even this little thing about throwing crayons. That's like he has so few happy memories, you know what I mean? So I hope he's seen this.
At the fence of the playground almost every day.
One day he just never came back to the fence, never spoke to me.
That's when Stanko believes the victim stopped coming to school.
Okay, like I was saying about the updates, I just figured out how to pin the comment when you add it to this. They changed the StreamYard, so I thought the only option to pin comments was to star them, but apparently hitting the stage button pins them.
Court documents detail how his stepmother, Kimberly Sullivan, pulled him out of school after the Department of Children and Families was contacted about the victim's behavior. Since then, the victim says he was locked in a room at their Blake Street home, sometimes 24 hours a day. He was barely fed or given water. Police say he set fire to his home to escape.
They did notice a slide lock on the exterior of the door.
Deputy Chief Bob Stalker responded to the home the night of the fire. He says the fire was contained quickly. He didn't know until afterwards about the real danger the victim faced.
The captain on Engine 11 put it very well. He said that this individual had faith that we were going to come for him and rescue him.
I wish that I knew what I knew, because I would have done something.
Stanko hasn't been able to visit the victim yet. He hopes he remembers him.
I love you, and I just want you to know I'm here. And I still remember all the memories we had, all the times we spent.
And we reached out for an update on the victim's condition tonight. Police say he's still in a medical facility receiving treatment. Live in Waterbury, Jane Chaco, News 8.
We all were like inboxing each other, like, wait a minute, isn't that Kim? Isn't that from? And sure enough, it's Kim from.
More reaction to the story of the local man who told police he was held captive by his stepmom for more than 20 years.
Family, friends, and even acquaintances are coming forward and sharing their stories, including one former classmate of the stepmom, Kimberly Sullivan.
Fox 61's Jamel Johnson talked to.
Sorry, I stepped away while that clip was ending. And the next one is a former classmate. Is this what of the stepmom now, I think? But I thought the one with the boy, his classmate, I thought that one was sweet.
That woman who says she and other friends couldn't believe their classmate is tied to one of Waterbury's most infamous cases.
Carol Griffin says the last time she remembers seeing Kimberly Sullivan was in 1986. That was at Wilby High School, where both of them were students.
Back in
We all were,
86.
like inboxing each other, like, wait a minute, isn't that Kim? Isn't that for? And sure enough, it's Kim.
That's what Griffin describes the moment she and her classmates
Hey,
saw
Rand.
Sullivan on the news.
I was shocked to hear the story.
Griffin was just 16 years old at the time she last knew Sullivan.
4 years after myself.
Fast forward to February 17th, Sullivan's stepson escaped from the home he says she held him captive for decades.
Who else is in here?
My stepson is in here.
He told first responders he lit the fire intentionally inside the Blake Street home so he could finally be free. Police say he was just 68 pounds when he was found. The arrest warrant says he had limited access to food and water and was locked in his room for up to 24 hours some days. Griffin says the shocking nature of the crime baffled her.
You have to be an evil entity to do that to a human being, period.
Period.
How do you, especially your stepchild that you've been trusted with?
As Griffin continues to follow the case of her former classmate, she hopes that the best can come from such a terrifying situation.
He's brave for setting that room on fire because he didn't know what the outcome was going to be. He just hoped that it came as it did, and I'm glad it did for him. I hope he makes a full recovery.
Sullivan is currently out on a $300,000 bond, and she's expected back in court next week. We'll be following this case and provide any updates as they come along. In Waterbury, Jamel Johnson, Fox 61.
I think my clips are almost over.
And surprised this individual is still alive.
Okay, so this one is a doctor giving his opinion on recovery, how his recovery might go.
New at 5, doctors are breaking down the long road to recovery for the alleged Waterbury captivity victim and the horrifying issues he may have been facing for the last 20 years.
Tonight, your reporter Dylan Fearon is live outside the home where he was allegedly tortured and starved with this new information tonight. Dylan?
Not according to the lawyer.
Well, Mark and Aaron, a big part of this case for the last 6 weeks is that the victim is 32 years
Hi,
old,
Tater Tot.
5'9", and was just 68
Or copy that.
pounds when he was rescued in February. Now, Kimberly Sullivan and her attorneys say they don't have to explain how that happened. They say she's innocent. Here's Sullivan's attorney.
Oh, we don't want to
being
see him
questioned
again.
over the victim's shock gait.
We're
and
skipping him.
on health. Dr. Rufo isn't treating the victim, but practices family medicine and is stunned by the case.
Really, I'm amazed and surprised this individual is still alive.
When the victim was rescued last month and hospitalized, police say he was near starvation, severely malnourished, with a body mass index of 11.
Oh, here it is, like I was saying. Anything under 13 is life-threatening. Under 13 body mass, and his was 11. I mean, he was in the stages of dying.
Adding, this is about half of what it should be. Anything under 16 is considered starvation. Anything under 13 is life-threatening. Dr. Rufo is confirming that tonight, giving us a better idea of what the young man's body was potentially put through for years.
As the body runs out of nutrition, it's going to start pulling from different places. So whether it be fat, muscle, bone, other different parts of the body as well, and things really start to break down.
Hospital staff told police the victim.
There it is, right there. This is the syndrome, the Waston syndrome. I couldn't remember it, but it starts with this. That's the word I meant. That starts with a C. And that's a whole nother topic, Miss Mayor. I've brought that up. I guarantee that they're going to subpoena it to, because I mentioned that in the beginning when I heard the story came out. I mentioned, wait a minute, the sister grew up with him. They moved out. Why did they do nothing? Why didn't they report this? And then I said, well, they can't use this, the whole story that they were scared. It's their actual biological mom. Okay, let's just say if that was true, they were scared, whatever. Okay, you're now living on your own. You're out of that house. Why didn't you do something after still, knowing what was going on in the house? Because this has been going on reportedly since he's the age of 3. There could still be other people charged, I think. You know what I mean? We don't even, I don't think it's yet for them to, because that doesn't make sense to me. Those girls lived there in that house and did nothing. I didn't forget them.
From cachexia.
It's been reported that people found social media, both the sisters, because the information's out there. You can connect it all, but
Wasting syndrome.
I didn't go looking for them or any, but I guess other people have on other social media platforms, so.
Significant unplanned weight loss and deterioration of muscle mass.
Yeah, they're grown.
And it can
They could have done
affect the
something.
heart as well, not just the brain or the skin or the bones, but some of these core vital organs as well.
There's also plenty of concern for refeeding.
That's what I heard TikTok, and it can't. There's no way that this is over for them if they haven't got something already.
Syndrome, as the victim starts eating and drinking more. Doctors and dietitians have to be careful easing him into a steady diet.
That too can actually be fatal as well.
And Dr. Rufo
So he's actually really not in the clear yet, but I hope, they just do everything carefully
also
and he's
mentioned that
okay.
it's very likely the victim's immune system is in a rough shape, Mark and Aaron. Now, Kimberly Sullivan's attorney said yesterday that it's possible there are other reasons the victim was just 68 pounds. We asked Dr. Rufo about that. We'll tell you what he said coming up at 6 o'clock tonight. I'm your reporter live in Waterbury, Dylan Fear, Channel 3.
Imagine all the pain, too, he must have been in those teeth like that, falling out like that. Imagine, how when you get a cavity or something, or to get to that point where they're just falling. I mean, his whole mouth must have been just pulsating with pain at some point. Oh, it's awful.
Dylan, thank you. We have an on the man held captive in Waterbury for 20 years.
I mean, he had to have had teeth infections and stuff, and those are so painful, and he just had to suffer like that.
He has a second chance at life right now after setting the house on fire in order to get out. There are several resources now available throughout the state for him.
And your reporter Dylan Fearon live in Waterbury tonight, where he was allegedly imprisoned and abused by his stepmother. Dylan.
I think this one's mostly another doctor.
Well, Mark, Aaron, the main focus now is getting this man proper medical care and dental care, two things he hasn't had.
And one thing I was hoping, please let a dentist out there that hears this story step up and do it for free. And this reporter actually says it did happen, so I'm glad about that.
In at least 20 years. We know he's in recovery right now, but at some point will come legal fees, living expenses, therapy, and counseling. It has to be daunting for someone that has been put in this situation for 2 decades, but luckily he has a support system around him.
One victim right here.
When Amanda Nardozzi heard about the starvation and torture the 68-pound man endured, she had to step in. Amanda is executive director of Safe Haven of Greater Waterbury, which helps domestic violence victims.
It's a tragic situation that nobody knew that this was going
This is the woman that started his GoFundMe.
on. Family members had tried to reach out and they were turned away, and it's just, I think that the level of trauma that this person's experienced, I think people can feel for him.
They feel for so much. Safe Haven's GoFundMe for the victim is up to $105,000.
This is old news. It's actually way more than that now.
Thanks to people from Waterbury and around the world. 14 people have donated at least $1,000, with money coming in from the UK and Australia. Amanda says the man has a conservator who's in charge of the victim's well-being.
We're working with an attorney to try and set either a trust or work with the conservator to try and ensure that the bills are paid.
His recovery is the most important thing.
Heather Tessman is the victim's half-sister. She spent more than 10 years searching for him and never solved the family mystery, with Kimberly Sullivan accused of being an evil stepmother to the victim since he was 11, until he freed himself at 32 last week.
He's got to get dental care. His teeth are all rotten, put on some weight, hopefully flesh out a little bit.
The Office of Victim Services, based in Wethersfield, offers crime victims therapy, treatment, and safety planning. The office wouldn't comment on this case, but its resources would be available to the victim.
I would think medical.
The reason is, where's Sandy's question? The biological mom gave him up when he was an infant, actually. I feel like it was like 6 months. It was very early on. I think she was dealing with some mental health and possible drug issues. She just, what she says is she thought the dad could do a better job, so she gave him full custody. And then later on, when they're reporting, they tried to find him later on. I don't know if they said that they moved. The biological sister, I think, maybe went to the door at one point, but she got turned away, so something like that.
Dental bills, trauma therapy, housing.
It sounds like a mess.
Legal. So just a variety of things that he need moving forward.
And Amanda has also told us she has received calls from attorneys and dentists' office willing to help this young man for free, which is great.
So that was something that made me, because I was hoping that a dentist would step up and take care of his teeth,
To hear. Meanwhile, the suspect, the stepmother, Kimberly Sullivan, will be back report a week from today. I'm your reporter live in Waterbury tonight, Dylan Fear, in Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
This is a moral injury. This is a, devastating.
Just gotta try to figure out what this one is. This might be my last one. Let me see.
Assault on one's sense of self.
The victim in the alleged Waterbury captivity case has plenty of physical problems to overcome, but today we're learning more about some of the psychological issues he's facing. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us for Eyewitness News at 4:30. I'm Kara Sundlin. Your reporter Dylan Fearon spoke to a clinical psychologist, and he's live right now at the house the man was alleged to be held captive in. Dylan?
Well, Kara, everyone's been talking about his extremely low weight, 68 pounds, when he was rescued in mid-February, along with the rotten teeth and the hygiene issues. But the psychological issues may be just as severe. Police say he is tested positive for and is suffering from PTSD and depression.
Along the lines of, severe child abuse or child maltreatment.
Dr. Karen Steinberg-Galucci is a clinical psychologist with UConn Health. She's not treating the victim, but she's helping us understand how his mental and emotional well-being may have been impacted for 20 years.
When someone is subjected to this kind of abuse, deprivation, terror, they will experience a range of psychological, cognitive, interpersonal effects from that. Their bodies and their minds are sort of being put into a state of chronic crisis or stress. So they're having, stress reactions. They feel they have to protect themselves. They have to scan the environment for danger.
There's plenty of alleged danger. The victim told police for 20 years he was kept in this house. Most of his days spent in either a small room or doing chores. Allegedly minimal food and water. No doctors or dentists for years. Rotten teeth. He even told police he hadn't had a shower in a year.
Depression, anxiety, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think I mentioned that part either. When he was put in the ambulance shortly after he did notify them because his hair was all matted, his appearance, that's actually in the document, in the affidavit, the arrest warrant, his appearance and him claiming he hadn't had a shower in a year. And sometimes when he was doing, sounds like slave work, housework for this stepmom, he said in order to get clean clothes when he was doing her laundry as chores, he would sneak in some of his clothes in the wash.
This is a moral injury. This is a devastating assault on one's sense of self and one's sense of being in the world, safety in the world, ability to trust others and feel comfortable. They may experience post-traumatic stress disorder.
The 32-year-old started a fire in the home to escape the alleged personal prison, a long road to recovery, but there's plenty of treatment options according to Dr. Steinberg-Galucci, including working with top professionals.
It does take a lot of work to try to help repair those early wounds and disruptions, but it absolutely can happen.
And luckily, Kara, there are resources for the victim. Plenty of people stepping up to help him. Donations pouring in from around the world. We'll talk about that coming up at 6 o'clock tonight. I'm your reporter live in Waterbury, Dylan Fear, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Okay, Dylan, thank you. And we invite you to stay with Eyewitness.
Leaders in Waterbury look.
This is a moral injury. This is a, devastating.
Leaders in Waterbury looking for some changes perhaps in state law in response to the allegations that Kimberly Sullivan held her stepson captive.
Sorry, my phone's freezing here. I'm trying to post a link. I'm trying to post with the next live I have. It's frozen. I'll get it a different way. This is the end right here. This is just discussing over figuring out how people can transition to homeschooling and stuff like this doesn't happen again. And then we're going to be doing a live with some Tiger Archives, Constance Sue and I. And I'm trying to put the link in the chat on my phone and it's frozen. I'm going to try to fix it.
He sat down with Waterbury's mayor and has more on what changes he'd like to see and how he hopes to make them happen. Owen.
Yeah, Mayor Pernaruski says that once the victim was removed from school, he essentially fell off the grid, and current laws don't allow for the school district to follow up with the family. But the mayor also acknowledging that parents of homeschooled children have rights. It's a issue that doesn't have an obvious solution.
All these things right within sight of that house, and you never would have, we never realized what was going on there. It's just horrifying.
After the alarming details came to light, Waterbury city leaders began talking about what authority they have when a parent begins to homeschool their child.
If there is any authority on a school district's part or a city's part to do some more.
I can't see the chat right now, but I'm resetting my phone.
There's virtually no authority.
But once they're out, the trouble is at this point under the existing state law, once they make that choice to opt out of the schooling, there is no requirement that they have any further connection.
It was other students and teachers who raised red flags about the victim's condition 20 years ago. DCF and Waterbury police visited the house but found no evidence of abuse. Tens of thousands of children in our state are homeschooled.
How do we maintain some sort of connection while at the same time recognizing that parents have rights, and in many cases, for whatever reason, they've decided they don't want that connection with the school system.
Mayor Pernaruski would like to see potential changes.
That's going to take a conversation that how do you balance all of those rights without, interfering with the parental rights at the same time.
As mayor, what do you think your role or responsibility is in preventing this from happening again?
I think it's to work with the lawmakers in Hartford to have that conversation about what should we be doing to balance all of these rights.
Mayor Pernaruski believes that a case like this should inspire change. He's personally impacted, as he shared with us today, that this is the neighborhood where he grew up. Your reporter live in Waterbury, Owen Kingsley, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Tonight at 6, doctors say they are stunned by the alleged Waterbury captivity case. One is even breaking down the long road to recovery for the victim,
along with the near fatal issues he may have been facing for more than 20 years. Your reporter Dylan Fearon live outside the home where he was held and allegedly tortured and starved. Dylan.
Oh, I didn't. I think I already played this one. Did I already play this? Yeah, this one's already been played. I think it's just replaying because it's a list. But Constance, are you listening? I gotta find Constance, but there's a link in the chat. Let me know if it works. That's gonna be to the next live that's starting in a minute, so she can get on a panel. I just want to separate the Ernie stuff from this because I'm not putting the Ernie content on this. Oh, thanks. I don't like mixing the serious stuff with that. Because, they don't really go together. I don't think this is joking matter, all this shit, Yeah, we already have... Oh, Miss Mayor's going to be governor. We got another candidate. There's candidates all over YouTube. I might be able to help you out with some merch for that, for your governorship. Let me see. Let me stop sharing this. The only other thing, if anyone needs it, let me just... If anyone, I just want to put something on the screen real quick. I'm waiting for Constance to answer. Did she answer? I have to find her. I was a little frustrated when I was trying to find this. So if anyone needs the document, I have the full affidavit, and let me see what page where he starts talking. Pardon me going fast, but I'm trying to get to the important stuff. Yeah, this mentions everything about the victim's statement and everything, and I had a hard time getting this, so I'm glad I actually have it. If anyone wants to take a look at it, I already have the full document printed in front of me because I thought I was going to end up reading some of this, but since I'm doing some other things now, I want to cut this on the shorter side so I can do the other stuff. But if you're interested in reading it, I can send you the link. It's very, very interesting and very detailed. Let's see. Posters. It's while you wait on Constance, or should you read the article I sent? You sent, where did you send it to? You know what? Maybe, I wonder if I could put this in the chat. Let me see. Oh, I have to download it first to my computer because I sent it to my email. I'll put it in the description. I'll put it in the description after. Let me check my text real quick. I went through a lot of stress trying to get this document. I know a lot of channels already have it, but it's kind of hard for me to get a hold of. But I got it. I got it. Let me see here. Check what she sent me. Oh my god. This sounds horrific. Alright, what I have to do is copy this on my phone and hopefully it works. Try URL. I don't know if it will work when I come back over. I'm gonna put it in my chat and then try to grab it on YouTube side. Chaotic. Calling out Constance. We're trying to find Constance. I got a live that starts in 2 minutes. Okay. Now let me go back to StreamYard, back to this side. Oh, Constance. Nope. Oh, see, now it's fixed. Now I can add mods. I couldn't do it yesterday for whatever reason. It wasn't letting me. All right. We'll take a look at this while we wait for Constance to answer real quick. If she happens to comment and I miss it, keep being persistent because I can only see 2 comments at a time on my phone right now for whatever reason. Their new format sucks. We'll do a quick answer on this article right here. Constance already did her assignment. She was putting together a list of stuff earlier, unless she's on the phone or something, but I gave her the link and I gave her the link to this one. Now I'm gonna have to get another link. Anyways, all right, let's go. Court documents. Morgan County foster parents abused at least 30 children over 13 years. Holy Christ. Morgan County couple faces over 100 combined charges for extensive allegations of abuse stemming from their role as foster parents. In December, prosecutors filed charges against Brian and Sonia Stafford, both age 60, totaling 121 counts related to child neglect, battery, and trafficking, molestation, and other charges. Oh, shit. I have to get my hands on this affidavit. 155-page probable cause affidavit revealed over 13 years the couple had mistreated at least 33 children who were in their care through the fostering, adopting, or housing foreign exchange students. I'm thinking to myself already, how did that many children go through the system over that many years and not get looked into? Surely at least one of them said something, when they transit. I don't know. Let's go on. 11 specific victims have come forward with testimonies detailing severe physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. What the fuck? The affidavit presents findings from 2 investigators from the Morgan County Sheriff's Office and the Prosecutor's Office. In the affidavit, investigators uncovered accounts of extreme physical and sexual abuse, as well as strict and harsh disciplinary measures imposed on the children. Victims described being subjected to physical punishment, including paddling and other forms of hitting that left marks. The affidavit mentions neglectful practices such as cold food and not allowing the children to celebrate birthdays and holidays. The Staffords also reportedly employed strict control measures, including locking pantry doors. According to the documents, the staff used a button box system that contained a specific color of buttons for each child. If a child was late to not complete assigned tasks, they would earn a button as a form of punishment. The accumulation of buttons led to forms of discipline, such as getting spankings, being forced to run laps, or being denied food, the doctors say. According to court documents, the children were also deprived of basic hygiene and clothing. Children were only allowed one outfit, and the showers were restricted to certain days of the week, the document said. The documents also allege Brian Stafford molested 4 victims, all under the age of 14. He also reportedly impregnated one of the victims. Sonia Stafford turned a blind eye to the sexual abuse. A jury trial for the Staffords has been scheduled for June 3rd. What in the actual fuck? Why isn't it everywhere? You know what I'm saying? This is the shit that's pissing me off lately. Every fucking night on YouTube and everything, the only thing that's all over the crime community is Sebastian Rogers every night. Sebastian Rogers every night. What about everyone else? You know what I mean? How can you talk about the same thing for months and months and months and months every fucking night? And there they flock. There they go. Hundreds in chat. Like, it blows my mind. Listen to this. Why is this not everywhere? Why is nobody talking about this? This is the first I've heard of it. I mean, I don't know if this, let me see when the date of this. This came out January 22nd, 2025. This is the first I'm hearing of it. Why is this not all over YouTube? What the fuck? This is absolutely insane. Anyways, I think I'm pissed now. I'm supposed to have, I have another live set, and I think it started 3 minutes ago, and I'm over here. That's crazy. Absolutely insane. Let me post the link so we can go over there, and hopefully she shows up. I'm going to text her. Actually, can somebody try to message her in the messenger that my live started 3 minutes ago, but I'm in this live? I guess everybody click that link if you want to go to the Tiger archive stuff that we're supposed to be playing 3 minutes ago. That's really infuriating. That needs to be done. This needs more coverage. This needs more people to talk about it. One of these kids was impregnated by a foster parent. It should be everywhere. I'm shooketh. I'm angry. I'm angry at the lawyer, and I'm angry at this. I'm pissed, so let's go laugh. I need to switch my mood up, okay? So I'm going to hit end, and I'll see y'all over there in a second. Oh wait, can you post that link in here? I'll put that in once my other live's over and I do a thumbnail, I'll put the link to the affidavit that I was talking about, and I'll put a link to this article so other people can read this in their own time. I'll try to do that because I've been good about trying to catch up with the shit and putting it in the description after. So if I don't, remind me. I'll do my best to remember. So I will see you over. Click the link to the other live, or if it's already live. I'm not at my own live, so I'm going to go over there. Okay, see y'all there.